Hi, everyone. So I'm so excited. This is, I believe, going to be our ninth episode that we're going to be airing. And I'm Sarah Auda. I'm the founder and CEO of Three Beats Consulting, where I help female-founded businesses who are at a certain tipping point really create their next chapter, really clarify their values and clarity for where they're going, and helping them achieve that. On my journey in this, I get to meet incredible people, which is how this mini interview series came to be. And Galit Fuller is no different. I mean, she is a shining star in the galaxy of my network, and you're going to find out why in a few moments here. But Galit, thank you so much for being here today and for being a guest on Quick Conversations. I'm so excited to hear what you have. Can you give us a brief overview? I mean, your first business is you run an insurance agency by day, which is a very significant, right? You have people on payroll, you have a brick and mortar, which we know is not cheap in LA. It is, I'm assuming, very demanding. And your heart, right, is really with your companies that have sprouted in your own businesses outside of that too. So, can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me today and for this beautiful intro. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like you shared, I opened my first business. It's going to be 10 years in January of 2027. I can't believe it's been 10 years. And that is an insurance agency that I run to this day. And through that work, I eventually needed to network for this business. So I joined networking groups a couple years ago. And all of a sudden, I found out that I'm actually pretty good at it. And the expectation is sending referrals and supporting other business owners. And I was just doing that pretty seamlessly and had so much enjoyment from that. And seeing, how a connection can blossom into so many beautiful things, a relationship, business, income for the people in my network made me really, really excited about this, which at some point I opened another company. It's going to be 2 years in October, and that is called the Connection Company. And that is my networking and business coaching business. I also started my own networking group called the Strive Circle in October last year. And that's been growing really beautifully and thoughtfully with amazing members. We have 35 members right now and continuing to grow.
I mean, just the impact, right? I think what you've built, even in just that 2 years, which by the way, congratulations on your insurance, right, business doing so well. And at 10 years, I mean, that's a sustainability benchmark that so many companies don't even get to. And so hats off to you because that takes a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and tenacity. And then getting to actually see you recently, this last month, I got to visit the Strive Circle and see firsthand this community that you have cultivated with so much care. And the difference that stands out to me from other networking events and groups that are out there, because there's so many, is truly like the personability you have and those connections. Like the ins and outs of every single person and what they bring to the table. And the highlighting of that is so unique. It's not just this generalized thing. It's like you curate a group of experts. And I think that takes a certain skill set. And I mean, not everyone has that. And what you've created is amazing.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate that you came to visit and all this amazing feedback. That's kind of what keeps me going. And it's funny because this kind of feedback is what gives me more and more ideas of how to make the group even better. I recently ran a survey amongst our members, and I really wanted that feedback. What's good? What do you love? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? And I'm really proud because I got amazing feedback, and most of the members rated the group 10 or 9, nothing below that. And it just kind of solidifies that, I had an idea, people love this, and they're giving me the feedback of, Galit, you're building the dream networking group, and everything that they're not getting from the other groups, like you mentioned, they're probably getting here. Another really big win that I would love to share is our member just shared yesterday with me that just in July, she had closed on two huge referrals through our community that turned into $80,000 in business in 1 month.
Amazing.
And that didn't happen, with magic. That happened because she's been there from the front, from the beginning, and since October of last year, since we formed the group, she continuously shown up and she continuously supported the group members. She really put herself out there to try to build a relationship. So it worked. She built trust over time, and now members are referring her, and she's closing amazing amount of business. So that's kind of the way to do it.
Yes, and that's, I mean, and I think you and I have a very similar perspective. Like when our clients win, we win, and it's the collective win and that momentum, right? Such an amazing, like we need to be telling more stories like this, right? About the those wins that are happening. And I have a feeling that you're going to have some more here over these questions. So let's dive into the first question, which every single person gets the same one. So, what do you think people need to know now?
People need to know and remember that networking isn't a numbers game. It's a follow-up game. What I see people do wrong a lot of the times is they show up at these events and they think they have to work the room, collect as many business cards as possible, leave with the stack, and then guess what? They come home, they're seeing this huge stack of business cards. They're so confused and overwhelmed. They can't remember any of these people, and nothing ever happens after that. They just wasted their time, they wasted their money, they wasted their gas money here in LA. That could add up and nothing happens, and then they're like, oh, I just wasted my time. I got so much energy out. I hate networking. But that's the problem. That's the wrong metrics. You should not be thinking about how many people you talk to, how many business cards you leave the event with, or how many events you even attend, or how big your LinkedIn account is. The real ROI comes from what happens after the handshake, what happens after the conversation. I built my whole business, two of them actually, and the Stripe Circle community with the power of relationships, with the power of connection and mutual interest and common ground and background. And when you open up and when you have real deep conversations with people, that's when they start liking you, trusting you, maybe buy from you or send you someone else that will buy from you. It doesn't happen in a day, and it doesn't happen with volume. It happens with depth, and it happens with intention. And the more you practice that around this one idea, the more you will start seeing results from that. If you meet someone great, you exchange numbers and nothing ever happens, it's not because you're bad at networking, it's because you didn't follow up properly.
Oh my gosh, we have so many questions we can just spin off from that, right? Like what leaves a meaningful impression? And, for me, I don't know how to connect with someone that without it being on a personal level. So I have
Mhm.
these little like file folders in my mind almost. This is just the way my mind works. Like each person has one, and it's like, age, birthday, last vacation they went on, the names of their kids, right? Like something interesting, like, oh my gosh, they're starting to write a book or they just spoke at this conference, right? All of these details. And I know not everyone's minds work that way. So I'd be interested if you have any tips for people who maybe are looking at this as more of a numbers game, right? Transaction, right? And I know people in biz dev who this was me years ago before I started my business. My boss in our industry in healthcare was like, biz dev people were having to create and generate over like 200 unique, right? Like meetups or moments or meetings, right, with new contacts every month, which is just an absurd number. And then it really does turn into right, just the machine of quantity, which never really brings the results we hope for. So I guess could you maybe piggyback on like what is a tip or like something people could do to make it less transactional?
100%. So even just the question that we all are being asked and probably do ask when we show up at these events is that, what do you do? It's really boring. They've been asked this question a million times, and after you leave, guess what? Another 10 people are going to ask them the same thing. And when you're asked that, you just keep pitching the same two sentences, right? This is what I do. And yes, 100% you need to know how to answer that and have your little elevator pitch ready to go. However, when you're trying to really build a relationship and take that extra step further with these people that you meet at these events, this question just throw it away. Don't use it. Just challenge yourself the next time you go to think of something else. And I'll give you a few ideas. One is what's exciting in your business going on right now for you? Or, okay, so what's the next big goal for you? Or, okay, like you mentioned, summertime, right? So now you're trying to find a common ground, whether they have children or like, what is it that you're doing this summer? Are you traveling anywhere exciting? And then that could be a conversation. Or you show up at an event and you don't know anybody. One easy question is, how did you hear about this event? And then they're going to mention a name. And then if you know that person, great. Well, I met them at this networking event. Have you been to that or at this networking group? Have you ever visited? What was your impression? Here's what was mine. Like, do you know of any other networking events? And that's a whole other two, three, four conversations that you can start from those kind of questions. But I challenge you the next time you go to an event, even if it's an online networking group, just leave that question. Trust me, you will get to that and what they do and what their business is, and you will find all these things out in due time. But when just try to get to know them as a person, see if you like them, see if they like you, show your personality, just be yourself, and try to have a little bit deeper conversation than you normally would.
Amazing, amazing feedback, right, for people. And we want to know if you try this, like put it in the comments of the YouTube too, because we want to hear what the stories on the back end of this are. So the second question is like, what do you think is in the way of people knowing this truth, right? Knowing that they could show up differently to networking, knowing they could be different.
Right. I think that people treat the first conversation as the finish line. Like that's their stage. That's it's actually just the starting gun. It's not the finish line. The magic is 100% in what happens after that. Yes, there is a way, like I said, to have that conversation be interesting and a little bit different and deeper than normal, than surface level. However, what you do after that conversation is really what matters. And what's in the way is that people really weren't taught this. They were just told, their boss told them, you have to go network, you have to bring clients, you have to, find new people to sell to. But they never showed them how. They never showed them the way. They never taught the real questions that they need to be asking when they meet these people, or how to build that relationship. And also, people just don't follow up because they don't know what to say. It feels awkward for them. They feel like they're being transactional. I get a lot. I don't want it to come across like I'm trying to sell them. And then I got the other side too, where it's really salesy, where it's really pitching the first conversation. So it has to be somewhere in the middle, right? You have to have a conversation to get to know the person and know their needs out before you can even offer them something. And that's where I see people do wrong a lot also, is that they show up in these rooms and they think that's their marketplace and they're going to sell something. And if they don't find the person that will fit in that checkbox of theirs of a perfect client, they will move on from the conversation. They will phase out. They will start scanning the room. That's what you're doing wrong. Do not do that, because that person feels it. He might know 15 people that are your perfect ideal clients, but you will never get to that point if you start scanning the room and you're disrespecting this interaction, and you're just scanning of who else you can talk to that potentially can afford your services. I hear that happen so much, and it's just the wrong way to approach that.
Oh, yeah, I could not agree with you more. I'm sure this is something a lot of people have a sense of in their, somewhere in their consciousness, right? But maybe they can't put words to it, right? And I think that there's so many of us, and a lot of people are nervous about networking, right? Of how they're going to come across and like, am I going to meet the right person? And maybe there's pressure, right, to meet certain numbers, or like, oh my God, I really need a client. And so they're just, right, everything is just focused on that. But that's really like a self-obsession, right? Like, because it's all about here, how am I coming across? What am I going to get? Versus, I remember one of my mentors in grad school saying, like, walk into any room and treat everyone in there like they are the most interesting person in it. And like, what level of curiosity would you bring to that, right? And it's like, it's not even about asking the right questions. It's about where's your spirit, right? Are you genuinely curious, right? Behind every person, no matter what their title is a family, whether it's their own family of origin, right? Or their chosen family, right? There's hopes and dreams and, right? There's a whole universe, right? And that human connection is the thing that can oftentimes lead to those like more robust business opportunities too, right? And I'm sure you and I could both just swap stories for hours on that, right?
Totally.
Okay, so the last question is, what is one simple way people can implement this more? Are there resources they can tap into? What are some next steps? And you've already given some great ones. In addition to that, what would you want to just be the capstone of this that you want everyone to walk away with?
100%. Great question. My suggestion is use my thoughtful follow-up method. The next time you meet someone, follow up within 48 hours with a resource, an intro, maybe to someone in your network, an article that could be actually useful to them. Mention something that was said in that conversation. You want to prove that you were actually listening, not just that you were present. Don't just send, it was great to meet you. Let's have coffee sometime. I want you to show me sometime on the calendar. It's not there. If you're going there and you want to meet them for coffee, which is a great next step, suggest a couple of days and say, I'm available here and here. Let's meet in this coffee shop. Have you ever been there? I love the matcha latte there. How about we meet there? If that doesn't work, let me know some other days. Be specific. The biggest thing is provide a resource. So, like I said, either an intro or an article, something that they can actually use and follow up within 48 hours. And my little tip is try to do it by text if possible. Email is great if that's all you have, but if you have their phone number, send them a text message. They will see that email maybe later if it's not in their spam when they check it tomorrow. But if you send them a text message, they'll see it right then and there. So that's my little tip. And one more little reminder is that 10-3-1 rule. When you go to these events, talk to 10 people, have three meaningful conversation, and leave with just one contact that you're excited about. Don't think that you have to go through the stack of business cards. That's all you have to do, and you will see that you're starting to build actual relationships versus just collecting some contacts.
Oh, so brilliant, brilliant. And I know this is the lifeblood of all of the businesses, right, that you've created in this lifetime, which is exciting. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. You know, in so many ways, I mean, right, networking is like dating. Like you have to know you're interested. You have to know there's something to connect on. Getting specific, I love that. Following up, right? No one wants to be sitting there like, I don't know, did we vibe well? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, why not be that person to be like, we vibed well. Let's continue the conversation. Right? So I think the way you do your networking is so I'm trying to think of the opposite word, but you're not thirsty, right? Like people can sense the genuineness and that you want to be a resource. And my hope, you know, you and I both being business owners ourselves, for all the business owners who are listening to this, I think the more that you can set yourself up as a resource queen, right? Or king, the more that you can say, like, I've got someone for everything. Like, I've got a book, I got a podcast, I got an article, I have something I can share, I've got a contact for you. And being so generous, right, with those connections is a wonderful way to generate your own referrals. And it becomes this cycle, right, of just genuine relationships, which is why I think you're such a trusted person in our corner of Los Angeles, you know, truly. So once I heard your name pop up with like four different people that I know, like, and respect, I'm like, okay, I need to meet this woman. And I'm so glad we did. You are such a gem and you have so much goodness. And I'm so glad that your community is expanding in all the ways that it is, which I know you're going to be talking about soon. How can people find out more about you? And we'll put all the links in the show notes here, but give us a little preview.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was lovely. You always have such a great way of making people feel valued and respected and great at what they do. And I really appreciate that. Um, so you can find me on theconnectioncompany.com. My Instagram is the_connection company. And our group's website is thestrivecircle.com. Our Instagram is the_strive_circle. And those are probably the best ways to connect with me. You can also send me an email at galit@theconnectioncompany.com. I would love to connect with everyone here and see how I can be a resource for you.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for being here. I can't wait again to bring you back in the future and see what you're up to then. So
Thank you
thank you,
so
Kelly.
much.
All
Thank
right.
you.